warm welcome to Provoking Thought with Faraz, asking your questions. It's that time of year again. It's Christmas time. And Sri Lanka has, it's that time of year again. It's Christmas time. It's the time usually that is the preserve of goodwill and a renewal of faith. Sri Lanka has gone through its own, yet another annus horribilis, and this hauntingly beautiful country hasn't been on its own. The troubles that we see on the Israeli and Gaza borders and the utter human carnage has now awakened the conscience of the free-thinking world. To discuss this renewal of faith and a special message for the new year, we're joined by His Eminence, Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith from Colombo in Sri Lanka. Good day to you, Your Eminence, and thank you for being on Provoking Thought.
Good day to you and all the best.
Thank you. As I said earlier, Your Eminence, this is the time, Christmas time is the time of goodwill. It's the preserve of this time, goodwill and a renewal of faith. What do you say, Your Eminence, to this renewal of faith? Is that the only thing that we have to carry on when we look at the troubles that is going on, not only in our country, but around the world?
Well, lots of people in the world, they say that they claim that they believe in God or in a religion, and when you look at what is happening out in the world, there are question marks that come to us like, is that belief turning into practice really in real life? For now, even if you talk about what is happening in the Gaza Strip and even in the Ukraine, all these people who are fighting each other are people who intensely believe in God or claim to believe in God. But what is happening, this continuous killing of human beings in the name of maybe even a religious concept at the base of it, is something that is completely deplorable and something that has to be overcome somehow. I mean, if we believe in God, if we say that we are believers of a book, and we believe in the Almighty God who is merciful and who is loving to us, to be killing each other and to be murdering people at a rate as it is happening, for example, in the Gaza Strip, is something which is horrible and which we cannot condone. So we need a transformation of our values and of our systems in our society. And that is what we are encountering today more than at any other time, and will be a challenge in the coming new year, 2024. So it is necessary for us to examine our conscience and see whether what we believe in the deepest recesses of our heart is put into practice in the day-to-day choices we make in our society. That is what is happening everywhere, and we are very sorry about it. And if we really want to be heroic, we need to look for the resources to get over such limitations and such clashes between each other.
What is happening in the Gaza has been internationally condemned as being a pogrom of genocidal action against the people of Palestine. How does the Church help? How can the Church help in the resolution of this conflict?
Now, behind this conflict is a fact that both these groups, the Israelis and the Palestinians, have had some link to this area, in this soil of that area. from a long history of thousands of years, going back to the times of the Old Testament. The people of Israel claim that this land belongs to them, while the Palestinians, who have been living there for years, for thousands of years, have also claimed the same land, and this has become a conflict. Unfortunately, the situation that happened in Europe during the Second World War and the horrible person of Adolf Hitler and what happened there became a problem of conscience for the Western nations, who therefore decided to create the two states, the state of Israel and the state of Palestine, side by side in this territory. And that became a conflict eventually, and it has been dragging on for the last 50, 60 years and more. And what has happened is that this conflict has evaporated into or outflowed into the other areas of the Middle East, making the Middle East a cauldron of conflict all these years. And it is important for us to understand that it is a problem of the whole world, that we need to solve this problem in order to find a solution for this question without letting it drag on to becoming a major conflict in the world. Unfortunately, the major powers are taking sides in this issue without taking a really neutral stand in order to see whether a settlement can be found which is acceptable to both sides. Otherwise, this blood being shed will continue as a terrible disaster for the world community, something that will develop into all kinds of other conflicts like economic problems for nations in the north and the south, then all kinds of insecure situations all over the world. So it is important for us to solve this issue as soon as possible. What the Catholic Church has been asking is for a settlement whereby a two-state solution is accepted by everyone. I think that is what we have to work for as soon as possible.
His Holiness Pope Francis spoke about the logic of a futile war. Is that what you're saying? That war is futile?
War will never solve issues. War will only lead to more bloodshed and more hate feelings, and the positions of the two sides becoming rigid more and more. We have to find a way out of it. And if our religious convictions, whether it is Christianity, whether it is Judaism, or whether it is Islam, if these religious principles can be applied, surely we can overtake this situation and we can find a solution. I think it is important for the leaders to understand that this senseless bloodshed must stop, and stop definitely, and a solution that is permanent should be found as soon as possible. And our religious convictions will give us the authority to do that, to reach out to the other side without thinking of our own interests only.
The humanity of man, it is said, can be protected and preserved only where the government must answer, not just to the wealthy, not just to those of a particular religion, the majority religion, not to those of a particular race, but answerable to all of the people. Do you think that the situation in our own country, in Sri Lanka, is anywhere close to that?
Well, I am so sorry to say that our situation in Sri Lanka is extremely dangerous and difficult because of what has happened in the past. Sri Lanka, after it received its independence, has gone on a path that has led to conflict. mistrust between the different communities that make up our country, the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Muslims and the Christians. These communities have gone on their own in different paths, and we have not been able to create a united Sri Lanka. And because of self-interest, we have become so separated from one another that it led to a 30-year war and destroyed our nation very badly, disturbing our progress and making it become extremely difficult for us to live together. After that, in the light of this situation, the power-mongering political setup that was created over the years with all kinds of selfish constitutional provisions and amendments aimed at only consolidating power of a few people, the country has become impoverished to such an extent that more than 80% of our population are now considered to be in the poor, among the poor, a situation that did not exist at independence. It is very unfortunate that this situation has happened, and it continues to happen because our rulers, our leaders are completely blind to the fact that we should create in Sri Lanka a just society, a society where the rule of law prevails above everything else. There is no rule of law in this country. The law is applied in the case of some people in a separate way, and in the case of others in another way. So this rule of law has completely been manipulated by the political setup. Today the political leaders don't care for the law. Even the Supreme Court decisions have been completely ignored by this leadership. And also the level of corruption and the level of inequality continues to oppress people to such an extent that this can explode into an open conflict if this is not handled carefully. Therefore, with this poverty levels rising and conflictual situations coming up among different communities, and often conflictual situations being created and being used by the political leaders in order to set up one community against the other and continue to rule by an iron-fisted hand, this situation continues to oppress our society. Sri Lanka is an oppressed society. We have no freedom. And the rulers are now thinking of controlling even the social media to that extent that the people have lost their freedom to say what they think they should say. And we are only hoping that with the new elections, something radical will happen which will bring in a society or help to give birth to a society which is egalitarian, which is respectful of each other, which accepts variety and differences, and which encourages everyone to unite in their differences without seeking to make a uniform society in our country. And that is why we have a serious responsibility at this moment to work for the emancipation of our society.
The Easter tragedy of 2019 was audacious as indeed it was horrendous. Yet our political authorities in Sri Lanka have displayed a little more than a passing interest to have an effective, independent, full and frank investigation to provide at the very least closure to the 275 people who gave their lives.
So it's very unfortunate and
what is the church's take?
It's really very sad indeed that the present leadership in Sri Lanka continues to ignore or continues to bypass their responsibilities by using all kinds of words and terms, especially before the international community, trying to justify their action, which is inaction. Because when this, with regard to these 273 people who were killed in these attacks, the truth has not been found out correctly. We feel that in spite of the fact that there are so many indications that these attacks were coordinated and planned by some people with a political aim, so many indications, so many witnesses who have spoken about these things, such an investigation has not been allowed by this particular government, which is a serious violation of our human dignity. And therefore, we denounce this government for what it is doing, and we want a transparent investigation, and we want the international community to apply pressure on these people, because this is a test case for democracy in Sri Lanka. If anybody in the world wants Sri Lanka to be a democratic country, they should not support this kind of oppressive regime which is trying to bypass the truth and trying to impose on us whatever they have decided is the truth. We cannot accept that, and we want a thorough investigation into this, which is independent, which is not interfered by political meddling as it has happened always in the past. And what is really happening is that some people who are bystanders are being prosecuted, while the real players are going free, and they are perhaps sitting in high places in our society while they are responsible for this bloodshed. Therefore, we want the international community to pressurize our government to go for an independent and fair investigation into this matter.
So there appears to be a lack of political will. What is it that the government is are afraid of the truth? What will this truth likely reveal? Will it reveal the perverseness of this government and their agents within the intelligence community? Is that what they're frightened of?
Yes, well, there are many. I mean, what we are saying is that there are many grey areas in the investigation that point to something more than just what they are trying to say happened, and we want to know what is that something more in order to discern really what happened. We want to know. We have a right to know what really happened, and especially these families of people who lost their loved ones, and large number of people who are injured, and some of them disabled for life. They have a right to know who did this attack. But this undemocratic, dictatorial manner of deciding matters by this particular government continues to keep that truth away from our people, and that is why we are unhappy about it. In spite of so many indications and so much of possible links between the Easter attack, those who carried it out, and the political setup being evidenced, no investigation has been allowed, and therefore we are thoroughly dissatisfied about what has happened.
Despite all the actions and the reactions and the impact of a film that came out about the Easter tragedy, and a parliamentary debate in Sri Lanka over 2 days, the fact is that only 739 pages of a 30,000 plus report has ever been made available to the public. I say made available to the public, meaning that when it is tabled in Parliament, then it becomes a public document. It was only 739 pages, which in effect is like a sort of executive summary. Why is it? What is it that they're hiding in the rest of this 30,000 plus pages report?
Well, we also don't understand that even though 6 discs containing the full reports, claimed to have been the full report by the government, had been given to the Catholic Bishops' Conference, and a team of lawyers have read through it and are reading through it. We do not know exactly whether all the pages are there of the report, and our conclusions will be announced shortly about what we found there. But indications of so many gray areas that we have been writing to the President of this country a number of times, to the government and to the President of this country. No response has even been received by us. Not even an acknowledgement has been received by us from these people, from the President and the others, about our concerns, what we have written in our letters. No response has come to us. And he has gone before an Indian journalist to say that he is waiting for the church to respond. And when he says that, his Minister of Public Security, he says 99% of the investigations are over. So the Public Security Minister says the investigations are practically over. Don't start asking questions. The President is saying we are waiting for the church to read the report and come back to us. That is not, it is not up to the church to be reading the report. The report should be published out in the open for the entire public to see the report. Why is this secret?
One of the most galling aspects of this Easter tragedy was that the information, it wasn't information, it was actually intelligence, and there's a crucial difference between information and intelligence. The Sri Lanka government, the Sri Lanka State Intelligence Service, was in receipt of intelligence about the impending attacks a good 2 weeks before the actual tragedy. But the big question is that no advance warning was given to the public. No advance warning was given to the churches or to the hotel industry. None of this, but the information was there. Can I ask you quite clearly, Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith, did your church receive any forward information of a possible attack?
Not at all. None at all. I must tell you very clearly and sincerely, we didn't know anything until the bombs blew up in our churches and then in the hotels. All these top-level officials, it was said that in the commission report, it was mentioned also that so many people claimed that many people knew about it beforehand. And those responsible for intelligence services knew about it. And one of the high officials who erased off all the information that was found in his own computer, he is now today the second man in command of our police. That is how the government recompenses people who did not carry out their duties. The Easter Commission recommended strict action against this man, but the government protects him. Government has always gone on an attitude of protecting those people who knew about these Easter attacks and did not carry out their duties. The present acting IGP in the police, whom this president named recently, in spite of our protests, knew about these Easter attacks, and the commission report condemned him also and said that he should be subjected to a disciplinary action, disciplinary inquiry by the government. But they didn't do anything. They just play with words and try to fool around. There is a serious, according to me, there are indications of a serious attempt to first hide the Easter attack information, even if it came beforehand, and secondly, to try to hide and put under the carpet the entire episode and the entire responsibility. Therefore, just telling 7 Muslim extremists carried out this Easter attack, and that's all, and there were some people associated with these people who helped them and who encouraged them to carry on with this attack. Don't ask any more questions. We know that there are so many dark spots in this investigation which have not been clarified, and the Channel 4 report very clearly mentioned about one of the witnesses who came forward to say that there was a plot behind these East attacks, and they had no courage to investigate any of those things. Therefore, we feel betrayed. We feel humanly insulted that our dignity has been thrashed by these people, by these politicians, and they deserve international sanctions because of that.
Do you think, Your Eminence, that the desperateness of politicians to remain in power actually led to a possibility that the state was involved in killing for power?
I am very thoroughly convinced of it because of all this evidence that has come out that this had a political aim, this East attack, and all that evidence has not been seriously evaluated by the government because they are worried that if they investigate these things, that plot will come out. There is also indication to this effect in the Parliamentary Select Committee report that came out in the executive summary. There is a mention that they feel that there was a political plot behind these East attacks. It is found in page 3 of the executive summary of the Parliamentary Select Committee report, which Select Committee was appointed by the present President when he was Prime Minister in the previous government. So therefore, he himself knows very clearly what has happened, and he doesn't want to do anything because he wants to stick on to power. That is my position.
Thank you very much, Your Eminence, for talking to Provoking Thought. Just as we come to the end of our program, I'd like to ask you, in the context of a serious, apparently serious erosion of the fundamental rights of the citizens of Sri Lanka, who are fortunate actually to have a written down constitution, in the light of this serious erosion of the fundamental rights of the citizens of our country, of Sri Lanka, what do you say as your message for 2025, Cardinal? What do you say about faith and all these very serious matters? What do you say? What is your message, perhaps to the international community who keep going on about the need to secure basic human rights?
Well, it is very unfortunate that at the international level too, we often forget our own human dignity, the human principles that should govern us. Yesterday it was announced that the world population has passed 8 billion already. So we are human beings who are capable of rising up to great heights of nobility, and our religious philosophies give us the strength to do that. That in spite of that challenge, that many of us are still behaving in a way that as if everything here on this planet is for exploitation, even in the matter of ecology and the way that our resources are being exploited by the richer north. In the world, one of the biggest industries is the production of armaments. Why should we produce arms if there are no conflicts? No, we produce arms because we create conflicts among people, and we nourish conflicts among people. We should think about the arms industry very seriously. We should think about the religious philosophies that we uphold very seriously, whether we must practice those religious philosophies in reality. and then what are the challenges that come to us from those religious principles, and how best can we turn the universe and the world into something better. That is a challenge that we all have. In Sri Lanka too, the same. Can we create a better society, a more democratic, a more open, a more accepting society, where people are valued not for their power or for their money or for their position in society or for the community to which they belong, but that we are all equal human beings and we have equal dignity and we respect each other. Can we create such a society in Sri Lanka? This is our challenge for 2024, 2025 and the future.
Thank you very much, Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, for your time with Provoking Thought.
Thank you very much, and God bless you and God bless every one of our brothers and sisters who are listening to us. Thank you.
And as we come to the end of this program, here's me wishing you, on behalf of Team Provoking Thought, a very happy New Year. Thank you, and God bless you all.